A gang of thugs are facing jail for terrorising victims lured to rendezvous on apps including Grindr and rinsing their bank accounts. The 5 men used the dating app to arrange meet-ups before robbing victims who turned up and draining their accounts. Over 10 months, the men, all from Birmingham, planned and committed robberies across Birmingham, taking a total of more than 100,000. They committed the offences at Golden Hillock Sports Ground in Sparkbrook and Derby city centre, and also preyed upon the good nature of helpful members of the public by pretending to be injured in order to trick victims into helping them. Injuries suffered by the victims included broken eye sockets, a dislocated shoulder, and a broken nose. Many needed hospital treatment. These men were all convicted of a series of robberies. They used fake Grindr profiles to lure 4 victims to parks in Birmingham, where they were attacked, held captive, and robbed. While being held for hours and in fear of their lives, their phones were used to transfer large sums of money out of their bank accounts. They also faked injuries to target 3 more victims in quiet spots in Derby and Birmingham, robbing and attacking them. When they stopped to help, and they tricked the 4th victim into getting into a van by promising him a lift home. Their victims included 2 men who were targeted as the defendants pretended to be injured on Markeaton Street, Derby, as they walked home from a nightclub in the early hours of April the 25th, 2023. The men were dragged into a grassy area where they were assaulted and robbed at knifepoint. The defendants demanded their phones and their PIN codes for both their phones and banking apps and stole around 200 in cash. Other victims included a man who thought he was meeting a Grindr date called Noah at the Golden Hillock car park, but was instead assaulted by 3 of the defendants who threatened to stab him. They demanded his phone and PIN codes, which they used to steal £8,730 from his bank account and credit card. As the robbers left, they told the victim to stay where he was for an hour, and he would be stabbed if he moved before then. They left, taking his phone and his car with them. Another Grindr victim agreed to meet up, but was instead assaulted by the group, who punched and pinned him to the ground, dislocating his shoulder in the process. They demanded his phone and wallet, threatening to stab him if he did not hand it over to them. They then held the phone to his face to use facial recognition to access his bank and apps. They also demanded his PIN code for his phone and bank cards. They stole more than $25,000 from his bank account and made him call the bank to say the transfer was legitimate. As they held him captive, a few defendants left with his bank cards and withdrew £360 from the accounts. 3 more attacks took place at the Golden Hillock car park. On May the 11th, 2023, a cyclist was attacked at knifepoint after seeing a man who asked for help, claiming his mother had been stabbed. When the victim tried to help, 3 of the defendants attacked him at knifepoint, threatening to stab him if he did not do as he was told. They stole his phone, wallet, and jewellery. And on May the 28th, 2023, the defendants stole more than $5,000 from the bank account of a man who had been lured to the Golden Hillock car park to meet on a Grindr date. They also stole his van, and on July the 11th, 2023, another victim suffered the same fate when they lured him into the same car park and stole more than $20,000 from his bank account at knifepoint. As well as cash, the gang of 5 stole vehicles, house keys, and would terrify their victims with the threat of being stabbed, using large weapons to sustain the threats before leaving them stranded by taking their car keys, wallets, and identification documents. West Midlands Police said in most of the attacks the suspects hid their identity with masks or face coverings or held their victims down with their faces in the mud to prevent them from being able to identify them. The spokesperson said the tenacity and teamwork of officers who watched dozens of hours of CCTV, tracked vehicles, traced financial chains, and worked with forensic phone specialists, which enabled us to identify and build a case of evidence against these dangerous individuals and bring their campaign of hate crimes, motivated by the victim's sexuality, to an end. The 5 men were remanded and will be sentenced in November. Detective Inspector Tom Lyons from the Force's Major Crime Unit said this was a calculated series of robberies with Hadza, Alizwi, Hassan, Omar and Sharif deliberately targeting victims because they had believed they were vulnerable, easy targets. My team conducted a lengthy investigation which required piecing together many strands of evidence. I know it took the victims in this case a huge amount of bravery and courage to come forward and support the criminal justice process through to the trial, and I commend them for doing so. Their evidence enabled us to launch a full-scale investigation and build a strong case, which ultimately brought the offenders to justice and has undoubtedly prevented many other people from becoming a victim. I hope the outcome provides reassurance that we take these types of offences extremely seriously and always do everything in our power to bring offenders to justice. Those found committing offences like this can expect to face the considerable length of time in prison. Georgina Davies of the Crown Prosecution Service said these defendants specifically targeted members of the lgtbq+ community to rob them of their money and belongings. They may have thought that the victims would not report the offences, but we were able to hold all 5 defendants accountable for their actions. We worked very closely with the police to gather all the evidence against the defendants, building a strong case for the prosecution. CCTV footage, witness testimony, and mobile data all played a role in securing this conviction. Detective Constable Sarah Brine said convicting these individuals would have never been possible without the victims' bravery in sharing their accounts with the police and court. We hope that seeing these individuals being held to account for their actions will bring closure for the victims. I would encourage anyone who has been subject to a similar ordeal to come forward and report it to the police. All reports will be dealt with sensitively and victims will be supported by specially trained officers. Dating and romance scammers lure their targets' defences by building an online relationship, then asking for larger and larger sums of money. Well-meaning men and women have both fallen victim to this. All 5 men are due to be sentenced at Birmingham Crown Court on November the 28th and 29th. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my crime channel. Thank you.